cloud. Hi, I'm Robin Forster with FeelSoAlive, and this program is sponsored by FeelSoAlive Informed. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me before we get into our speaker. First of all, I'll probably be looking down at my notes because she has a lot of great things to say and to cover, and I want to make sure that we cover everything, so I'll probably look at my notes. And I wanted to say a little bit about me. I am really into health and wellness, mine and yours, and also the planet's. And I'm also a bit of a productivity geek. So just to let you know that that kind of may be coming out a little bit while we do this interview. And it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, who is Georgiana Kovel. And she has an amazing business, and her background, well, let me let you go ahead and talk. So Georgiana, would you share with everybody a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Robin, first off, for having me. This is an honor, so thank you. I'm Georgiana Kovel, as Robin said. I'm a sales and performance coach, and I'm also the founder of Millions of Women Strong. So, really, everything I do is in service of women thriving. So I work with small, micro businesses, female business owners around the world. So I've had the privilege with working with women all over the world. And, the one thing that I find is these extraordinary women who have amazing superpowers, but they're afraid of being salesy and pushy. So, being able to work with people that, to get their gifts out in the world really is what I would say. I don't know about you, but I know that we all get into our own businesses because it's something that matters to us, right? So that's kind of how it's been. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So when I was 16 years old, I had my very first business. I used to show jump horses, and I started a business braiding their tails and manes, which was something we needed for the horse show to make a little extra money. So the thing that I've discovered throughout my career of all the different, I've had many businesses, and when I didn't have my own business, I was working in 100% commission because I guess I just always wanted to be in charge of that. So, it's been a long journey, but it's something that I'm super passionate about, is doing everything that I do is really in service of women thriving and making money, because I believe that we're going to be the change in the world.
Awesome. That is so neat. And your passion, I think, really comes out of being in service to women and helping those of us, since I'm a woman, be more productive, and actually that it's okay for us to make a profit, right?
It's okay. Absolutely okay. And it's not only okay, it's necessary. We've got, especially during this time of COVID-19 and, that's one of the things that I have heard from a lot of different business owners. It's like, what do I do? People can't afford it. They're not working. I still want to get it into their hands. Oh my God. It's imperative for us to continue doing business, making money. The economy crashes because people stop spending money. So putting yourself out there, owning who you are and owning what you do as something that matters and making money, you deserve it.
I like how you say that, because you're absolutely right. If we don't keep the money flowing, then it's not going to flow. People aren't going to be, they won't have jobs. I mean, things just obviously are not going to work really well. But if we can back up for a second, you worked for some other companies when you weren't working for yourself. And some of the companies you worked for, you learned a lot about training and sales. And could you tell us a little bit about your experiences working in those companies?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what companies you're speaking of. I worked for Landmark Education, that's one, but I've worked, prior to Landmark Education, I've worked for many different companies, all in a sales capacity. And even, you could say at Landmark, I was like a sales manager, if you will. But I got into personal development when I was very, very young. My dad was one, as a matter of fact, he used to push that stuff on my brother and I. And at the time we were like, yeah. But it really had soaked into my bones that, personal development, the Think and Grow Rich and the sales this and the Tom Hopkins that. And, it's been in my DNA from the time I was very young. So I've done a lot of sales training and personal development and leadership. And I've also led a lot of seminars and leadership courses and trainings, prior to even starting my business. So I guess it's all that shaped me to lead me to what I'm doing, because I believe that, it's as it is, so important for us to be empowered, because who shows up in our business is all of our relationships, how we feel about each other, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Oh, great. Okay. And can you tell us a little bit, what are some gifts, some strategies? What are you telling some of your clients? And I know that you have clients globally, and is it a little bit different what you're telling the women in Australia, for example, than you're telling the women in the United States? Or are we all kind of in the same boat? Or how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's the same thing with women all over the world. It's no different. As a matter of fact, for the first time ever, we're all going, I mean, I'm not the first one to say this, but, we're all going through this together at the same time, this whole COVID thing, and so it's been interesting to be able to empathize and understand more of what people are going through, because we're all going through it together. And, I think the first thing, besides it's okay to make money, was the other thing is to really understand that being creative and bringing new opportunities with what you do for people, because there's some people that aren't spending money or they can't spend money, and depending on who your target market is, really depends on whether what they're dealing with, I guess. And having said that, it's also, we never know what people are dealing with. So we can't on one end assume that people don't have the money or they're not spending money. And on the other hand, we have to be responsible for how we listen to people, because they might be dealing with everybody's dealing with stuff, but you just never know is the point. Like, you never know. And that really is one of the biggest things that I've been talking to people about, is mindset. Because if you notice, we bring a whole lot of what we think that we know about people and ourselves. And so when we're walking into our sales conversations or conversations with potential customers, we already have our preconceived notions of who that person is, no matter how little or how much you know the person previous. And all of that listening and all of those things that you know and all of the things that you don't know about that person, you just walk into it, and it shapes the conversations that you have and or don't have. So being able to, I call it tending to your mind, because really, if you were a blank slate and you were just being curious about who that person is every day, every time you interact or engage with somebody, coming from a blank slate, like, wow, I wonder who Robin is, instead of, coming with everything that I think I know about you. So it's an opportunity to engage with people in a whole new way, as well as yourself. And I think that's one of the most critical and important things that we can ever do in business and in life.
So, do you have a couple of tips for people to help them be more mindful, to tend their mind, like you're saying? Because I
Yeah.
think that's kind of a challenge sometimes.
Well, if you can actually understand that your words create your world. So, the world is just there, and how it exists in what you're saying about it. So your words actually create your world, and how your world occurs for you, whether it be people aren't spending money, or people have a lot of money, or people aren't buying, or people do buy, right? That's going to shape the actions that you take, right? So you have to tend to and put attention on what are the thoughts, what are the words that you're using? What are the thoughts that you're having? It's almost there's the limiting beliefs, but even beside the limiting beliefs is just looking at what are the words that you're using in your world. And a really powerful place to look is look at the results that you're having or not having. The results are actually dependent on, I'm going to say, maybe that's not the best way to say it, but your results are dependent on what you're saying about how you are, your business is, how you are in your business, etc. So watching your thoughts, actually looking at what are you saying about your business, about yourself in your business, about your customers. And if you spent a week just kind of noticing, jotting down all the automatic thoughts that you have, these may not be the thoughts that you're saying, but the thoughts that you're having, even if you think you push them aside, if you just have a bubble come up and you're like, oh my God, where did that come from? You're going to begin to notice how many thoughts and how that's kind of shaped the results that you have in your life, in your business, for yourself. It's a very interesting exercise.
Oh, excellent. That sounds very fun. So it sounds like what you're suggesting is perhaps to have a journal, piece of paper, your phone, wherever it is you want to take notes that is easy for you. And whenever you have a thought come up, just to be aware, to notice it. And then if it's a thought that doesn't serve you, to write that down, because it seems like part of it is if we don't identify it, then how can we change it?
Yeah. And and Robin, just to kind of shine a light on the aspect, because we have thoughts every second, right? Every nanosecond. I forget what the actual statistic is on that, but if you really wanted to take this exercise on for a week, look at the areas of your life, your business, you and your business, where you have a loss of power, where you're not as effective as you want to be. That's a really good place to kind of inquire. It's like, okay, well, there's this area in my business, right? There's this sales in my business, right? What do I think about sales? What do I think about my custom? Just start to question what are the thoughts that you have about these different areas, and you'll be interested. It won't be a surprise why you're having those results in your life.
Oh, perfect. What an excellent exercise. Well, Georgiana, I'm looking at the clock and I'm afraid that I'm just making it really tight for you because I know you have another appointment. Is there any last thing you'd like to say, or would you like to say your website so that it's easier for folks?
Yeah, well, you can definitely go to my website, which is georgianakovel.com, and hopefully you'll put it in the show notes, or I'll come back in. And if you have any questions, I have webinars often about different topics, selling and sales, and you can come and check me out there, and you can also check me out at Millions of Women Strong in our Facebook group that's open to everybody. But thank you very much, Robin, for having me.
Excellent. Oh, thank you. This has been great.